wondering, how did we get ourselves in this situation? Well, here's our story. Georgia swamp, a sprawling, untamed wilderness straddling the border of Georgia and Florida, had always been shrouded in mystery. Its murky waters and dense cypress groves were home to creatures that could startle even the hardest of frontiersmen. But in the summer of 1829, whispers of something far more terrifying spread like wildfire through the small towns on the swamp's edge. The stories begin with strange sightings, shadows moving in the twilight, a guttural growl echoing through the trees, and monstrous footprints pressed into the mud. These tracks was enormous, measuring over 19 inches long and 9 inches wide. Local settlers were terrified. They called the beast the Georgia Swamp Thing and speculated that it was a creature of legend, born of the swamp's dark ancient waters. The 9 hunters determined to rid the swamp of its menace. A group of 9 seasoned hunters set out in late August, armed with muskets, hatchets, and a sense of bravo that could rival the beast's supposed roar. They vowed to return with this hide or not at all. 4 days the hunters waded through waist-deep waters, their torches flickering against the glowing trees. They followed the massive tracks, each print sinking deep inside the swamp's soggy floors. The deeper the adventure, the quieter the swamp became. Frogs ceased their croaking. Birds avoided the canopy overhead. It was as though the swamp itself feared what lay ahead. On the 3rd night, the hunters made camp on a dry patch of land, surrounded by towering cypress trees. They huddled around a fire, recounting tales of other legendary creatures as they tried to mask their growing unease. But as midnight approached, a piercing roar shattered the stillness. It was unlike anything they have ever heard, an ear-splitting bellow that seemed to shake the very ground beneath them. Hunters scrambled to their feet, weapons drawn, their hearts pounding. Out of the darkness, something enormous moved. The firelight caught only glimpses of it, a hulking figure with matted fur and eyes that glowed like ambers. The creature moved in astonishing speed for its size, darting through the shadows before lunging at the nearest man. Panic erupted, muskets fired wildly into the night, their flashes illuminating the chaos, but the bullet seemed to do little more than anger the beast. It lashed out with clawed hands, sending one hunter flying into the trees and another was dragged into the darkness. His screams silenced almost instantly. The survivors fought desperately, but it became clear they were outmatched. 5 men managed to flee into the swamp, abandoning their camp and their fallen comrades. They didn't stop running until they reached the outskirts of the swamp at dawn. When the survivors returned to civilization, they were barely recognizable, mud-caked, bloodied, and hunted by the horrors they had witnessed. They recounted their ordeal to the townsfolk, describing a beast as something beyond natural, a creature of enormous size with a roar that could shatter the bravest man's strength. Despite their warnings, others ventured into the swamp in search of the creature, driven by curiosity of the promise of fame. None succeeded in finding it. The swamp has guarded its secret, swallowed by a trace of the Georgia Swamp Thing. The creature's footprints eventually faded from the muddy banks, and its roar was heard less and less as the years passed. But the legend of the Georgia Swamp Thing endured even today. Locals tell the story of the 9 hunters of the beast's deafening roar, and of the Georgia swamp dark impenetrable hearts. Few dare to enter the swamp at night for fear that the creature still roams its shadowy depths waiting for its next victims. That night hunt them, and yes, it hunts them for the rest of their